I'm Liane Jackson, Senior Law Editor at Forbes, and today I am with Professor Mary McCord. She's the Executive Director of the Institute for Constitutional Advocacy and Protection at Georgetown University Law Center. I am pleased to have her joining us on the day after Election Day. We just had Vice President Kamala Harris. She presented her concession speech on the campus of Howard University in Washington, D.C. I know that Professor McCord was watching that as well. And I'm very interested to get your take on a number of issues now that President Trump is back in office. There's a lot of questions, there's a lot of concerns, especially in the legal space by legal experts, legal observers. So I want to talk a little bit about that. What's your perspective on what we can expect starting in January, the first 100 days? What are your expectations? I mean, you're coming from a perspective of constitutional advocacy and protection. So I'd like to get your take on this.
Sure, thanks. Well, first, thanks for having me. And also, I just want to say he is not in office yet. It'll be January 20th. So there is this transition time, and there's a lot of work that has to happen, for a transition. And that's one of the things that Vice President Harris said today in her concession speech is that the administration would be working for a peaceful transition, right, to help Mr. Trump get up to speed before he retakes office. So my organization, ICAP, the title is so long, we use ICAP. We started in 2017 and we brought a variety of different constitutional litigations, some of which were against the Trump administration for things like the public charge rule, the rule that his Department of Homeland Security promulgated that would make it exceedingly difficult for people to get green cards. Other things we litigated about the citizenship question on the census. We litigated about the apportionment decision policy that he attempted to implement. But we also litigate lots of other issues too, like criminal justice reform and First Amendment and separation of powers. I think we'll see more of these types of things, very aggressive. I mean, we know it because he's promised it, very aggressive immigration enforcement, including he has said mass deportations. That's going to be an area of litigation without question. He has talked about political prosecutions against his political enemies. He believes that this is what happened to him and that he will provide retribution. And that's very concerning, a weaponizing not only potentially of the Department of Justice, but other agencies like the IRS, for example. And combined with the immunity decision, which is a little bit of a license to abuse your office if you're the president and be immunized for it, that's sort of a dangerous combination, that in combination with what he has said he would do. He has talked about using the military for domestic law enforcement in ways that are very troubling. And invoking the Insurrection Act, which of course is an important law that should be used for certain purposes, but I question whether his statements about using them against, quote, the enemy within is actually a purpose that was ever what was anticipated by the Insurrection Act, short of something like, the Civil War. So these are all things that many of us who care about protecting democracy and constitutional rights for all Americans and everyone in this country, those are things that we will be watching for. And when litigation is an option, that's something we and other lawyers will be considering.